Okay, my name's Stanley Serminski. I'm a 1970 graduate of Woodward. I'm probably Woodward's most active alumni. I started here at Woodward in the fall of 1963, and I've been around ever since. Okay, May 1st, 1854, Toledo High School was at 10th and Adams Street. That school burned down in 1895. It became Central High School, not Central Catholic, but Central High School in 1896. Toledo High School burned down. In 1913, manual training school was on the manual training school was on the top floor of Central High School. It included 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys, and it was renamed Woodward Manual School. In 1917, it was renamed Woodward Junior High School. And in the fall of 1919, it was named Woodward Technical High School. It included girls and offered a 4-year curriculum classes in not only manual training. Woodward Tech officially, this is astounding, became Calvin M. Woodward High School on November 20th of 1961. So from 1921 until 1961, we were known as Woodward High School, but we were not officially dedicated as Calvin M. Woodward High School until November of 1961. That's an astounding fact. Woodward 600 East, the building was started construction on in June 21st of 1927. The school opened in the fall of 1928. So they built that school in a year and a half time. The land cost was $217,879. It was a 9-acre site between Stryker, Central, Stickney, and Bevan Place. The building cost was $1 million, and equipment with desks and everything that was put into the school cost another $220,000. We all remember how big and wide the hallways were, so if you walked all three hallways on all 3 floors from, say, Stryker and Bevan, you would have walked 1.5 miles. It was a solid building. It was a bomb shelter. Had a basement that was a bomb shelter during the Cold War years when many of us were students here. And it was a well-built building. The walls were 3 foot thick. The band room addition was added on in 1964 because band got so big in the Sam Zor days, we needed a bigger band room. So that addition was put on in 1964 and stood till Woodward was closed in 2010. The biggest enrollment of 600 East was probably in the late 1960s to about 1975. For about 7 or 8 years, enrollment was well over 3,000 students. I think my senior year in 1970, it was 3,063 students. 1972 to 75, they went to split shift because of the enrollment. It was, higher than that, I think. But anyway, Woodward had the biggest student enrollment for a number of years in the Toledo school system. Woodward High School was a League of Nations. I guess that's the best way to say it. We had all ethnicities of life from Point Place to the north end, Cherry and Summit Street, downtown, the old north end. We had, people from all over the world that were students at Woodward High School. Lunch. Teaching staff at Woodward's always been well over 100 teachers in the years. The old building had about 180 classrooms, I believe. It was a big building. As I said, it was square footage wise with the Skills Center. It was the biggest high school in the state of Ohio at one time. When we left the old building in June of 2010, holding hands, we cried because we knew that was going to be the last time we were in the old building. So about a month later, my friend Melanie Reichert was a photographer friend of mine. Her and I photographed the old school from every angle imaginable, from up and down, from the basement, the coal bins to the boiler room. And I do have pictures in our history room here at Woodward that I took and, dedicated, give to Woodward for our history. Then again, the old school is memorable to the old timers, and the kids that used it up till 2010. It was a great school. It was a big school. It was a well-built school. The new school, it's a nice school, but it's not Woodward High School, 600 East Stryker like we all remember. The school. But anyway, the W in Globe, the W symbolizes the diverse background of our student body. Olive and oak branches symbolize both strength and conflict. Gavel and scale symbolize justice for all students. The lamp symbolizes the knowledge and education the students acquire at Woodward High School. The torch symbolizes leadership. The Olympic rings symbolize Woodward's commitment to developing not only the mind but also the body through physical fitness and athletics. And finally, the interlocking gears symbolize the technical training that was and still is the cornerstone of curriculum at Woodward High School. In 1985, the band went to Washington, D.C. for the first time. They did 3 trips to Washington, D.C., 1985, 1989, and I believe 1993. And okay, this is our band trophy case. Woodward band Woodward's always had a great band from the Sam Zor days. Edgar Sorton was band director, choir director in the early years. But Al Haga took the band to new highs. We went to Washington, D.C. in 1985. We had about a 110-piece marching band, and the Woodward band took second place in the nation that year for schools with over 100. And we were in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia. I think we marched the Philadelphia parade on the night, the day before the 4th of July. Our old uniforms we keep for posterity's sake. Trophies, Flag Corps Majorette camps you saw earlier at another trophy case. But then again, this was all probably from the 80s and 90s. Marching auxiliaries, we had girls that went to Australia in 1988 to the World's Fair. We had girls performing a Citrus Bowl for many years in the 1990s, late 80s. We had girls that did the last Blue Bonnet Bowl in 1987, and I was at Houston, Texas. And into the year 2000, we had majorette and flag twirlers that were always part of the, mostly it was a Citrus Bowl, although one year I think there was a San Diego Holiday Bowl. And, then again, trophies and stuff that band's very proud of. And then again, this is the band trophy case. Back in 1969, when the football stadium was dedicated, we finally had a football stadium after many, many years of not having a stadium. Although in the early years, we did have a makeshift stadium. But anyway, Vic Schaefer, he was a 1965 graduate of Woodward. He was captain of the football team. Unfortunately, he gave his life for our country. He was killed in Vietnam in 1968, I believe. So we had a plaque made. The plaque was inlaid into the flagpole at the stadium at 600 East Stryker Street. Our football stadium was dedicated. Ray Sable from Center Supermarket on Stickey in Manhattan was instrumental. We finally had a football stadium, and it was around till the school was tore down in 2010. So we did have a football stadium for 41 years. Our football games in them days, they were played Fridays at 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish. Then again, we did not have lights, so we couldn't do night games at Woodward. We traveled to other schools in the area for our night games, but we were fortunate that we did have a football stadium. So, that's all in here. And, there's some famous trophies in here. When we beat Macumber in 1988, we had won a game in a number of years against them. Then below it was our first female football player, Tamara Browder. That was her helmet. She was a graduate when she graduated, 88, I believe. So her helmet's in here. And she is a Hall of Fame inductee, by the way. And let's see, another, Carrie Sarabia, great football player. Chris Jaquillard. Sarabia owns a company that deals with troubled kids and drug addiction. He's very successful today. Jaquillard, he's a hell of a football player at Woodward, and he's a land management. He owns houses and rental properties and apartments. And again, that's their football pictures. Back in 50 years of the Super Bowl, they give golden footballs out to schools that had people that played in the Super Bowls down the years. So we were very fortunate at Woodward to have a football player, Brian Robinson. He played in the pros from 1989 to 1993, and the football was given to Woodward High School in his honor. And Mr. Robinson's passed away since then, but anyway, there's a picture of him here too. So I think that's kind of important. They're all zeros. And below this, we have trophies and trophy cases from, let's see, this is from what, mid-1980s all the way up to probably 2010 into the final, well, let's see, we got stuff in here. Yeah, this goes all the way up to 2020, this case here. So it starts about the mid-80s and ends up in 2020, 2021. So then again, there's various proclamations and paperwork in the background of a lot of these trophy cases. And this flag here actually flew over the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Polar bears, you know, we collect them down the years. Another aerial picture of Woodward when I did aerial photography in 1986. And the next segment here is a Woodward High School flag, banner. Back in 1986 when Dave Yenrick was our activities principal, he had these flags and banners made up. So I keep one in a trophy case, and it's got the symbol of the school on it. Okay, right here we have a original sign from 600 East when Woodward High School was a fallout shelter during the Cold War. So when the old school was closed, you know, a lot of stuff to salvage to bring over here. And this I keep in our trophy case here. About 1986, Wendy Johnson was our yearbook editor. So she asked me about doing an aerial picture of Woodward. So one of our teachers, his brother-in-law, was an airplane pilot. So long story short, you know, I had to come up with some money for gas for his airplane out of Wagon Wheel out of Lambertville, Michigan. So we were flying about 600 feet, way below FAA minimum standards to flight. But I got some good aerial pictures of Woodward High School from the air, and that's about 600 feet up in the air. And then again, it's sort of a rare picture. This book here was written by Sarah Seymour Winfield. She's a 1965 graduate of Woodward. She donated a copy of the book. She is a Hall of Fame inductee. I told you earlier that we have, you know, people of all walks of life, book authors. Connor here, he's a military man. I think he was a colonel. He's probably the highest ranking military personnel that ever went to Woodward. He was a Hall of Fame inductee many years ago too. As I say, I think he was a colonel in the military. So this is kind of a, you know, rare picture too. And we got a postcard up here of Woodward High School from many years ago, and this was when postcards were really popular. So this is kind of a collector's item too. Okay, we got a classroom here from 1927. Somebody had donated it. It's in here. We got a brick and keys from 600 East Stryker. So it, you know, kind of cool and collectible stuff. And up above, we got glassware from proms and reunions. I think one of the older ones in here, 25th anniversary, the class of 1959. So this would have been from 1984-ish, these glasses. Pretty cool. And then we have a part of the stage from 600 East Stryker here. All the world's a stage. Pretty cool. Okay, next is our Jamie Farr trophy case. And then again, I told you before, he's probably our most famous alumni. And, you know, his book is here. We got a picture of him. We got a part of the stadium granite, or where does granite come from? Anyway, it's got his autograph on it with some shirts. Up above, we have a picture of our National Merit Scholars. We've had 6 down the years, so we're proud of that too. And our next trophy case is the Daniel Duvendak Science Award, the Bell Joseph Math Awards, yearbook awards for yearbook. Some of these are ongoing still. Some of them are, you know, we haven't had ads or inductees for stuff like that. And down the years, I've gotten badges from cheerleaders and stuff that I've collected that I keep in here. So we're proud of that. The next trophy case is Team Spirit Awards, and ending up with, okay, our trophies from the 1920s start at this end and move across. And, you know, from bowling to basketball back in the 30s, 40s, we always had respectable teams for sports and athletics. 1952, we beat Wade High School 14-6, and Wade was always a powerhouse in the state system for football, and we beat them that year. 1964, Walt Piakowski, let's see, Dave Cornola, Leininger, the basketball, they were city champs in basketball in that year. And, you know, that was a proud moment in history of Woodward. Then again, baseball trophies, there's track, the Vilbus Night relays in the day. We got a trophy down here, a medallion, Skane and Ed U, class of 72. They were City League double champs in tennis. I think that's the only tennis medallion we've ever got, but that medallion's down here. Then again, we got other trophies from different sports. And as we pan across here, we keep going. Football, we were City League champs in 1975. Bill Lasky played professional baseball. His picture's up here. He's class of, when is he? Class of
75.
75, I think, 74, I think 75. Yeah, 75. He played professional baseball for a number of years. Our 1977 girls basketball team was state champs. That's probably the only state title Woodward ever had. In fact, I know it is, but that's the City League, the girls from the City League team, Fran Washington and her crew. Girls basketball started in the mid-70s, and Woodward was state champs in 1977 in girls basketball. Back in the 80s, we had hockey teams that were really good and decent, so we had some hockey trophies. Let's see, Ed Sneed, pictures in the background. I think, to my knowledge, he's the only one that ever bowled a 300 in Toledo school history. He bowled for Woodward in the day. And to my knowledge, he's the only one that ever bowled a 300 game. The first polar bear statue we had was the upright one. And that was given to us in 1961 when Polar Bear Frozen Custard on Monroe and Sylvania closed up. They had two of them. They contacted us that we would want to have one. So we says, yes, absolutely. So the upright polar bear that stood outside 600 East from 1961 until 1974, it was involved in an auto accident and demolished. So anyway, when the polar bear was demolished in 1974, Ray Addy was a physiology teacher at Woodward. He was a 61 graduate of Woodward himself. He built the new polar bear, the one that we have today. It's on 3 legs, paw up in the air. And that polar bear was dedicated in 76, in that era. Anyway, we still have that polar bear. It is deteriorating out in the weather. I mean, polar bears, even in a brutal winters, only last so long. I had a committee in 2013. We rebuilt that polar bear, repainted it, and body work and cement work, and the base is hollow. We rebuilt some of the railroad timbers that are in it. But when the polar bear was moved from the old school, stored in a parking lot, and got kind of beat up from the construction of the new school at 701 East Central, which is Woodward High School today. So then again, Karen Mackey, class of 64, Lois, Becky Nowak, class of 68, her granddaughter, Alex. Who else helped me? It was myself and a committee. Jeff Zen's class of 71, and I think somebody else was on that committee, one of my other lady friends from the class. But anyway, Lois Hartzell Koopmans, she helped too. She did the artwork on painting the toes and the face, and we put a lot of work into rededicating that polar bear. We did have a rededication ceremony in 2013. And as I say, that originated. Mr. LaRue, our principal in 1928, he was from Ohio Northern University. And they are the polar bears, but you know, they're a college. To my knowledge, Woodward is the only high school in the state that's the polar bears. One of our students painted back in 1989. I guess it was repainted, the class of 39. I'm not sure what the history is, but then again, you know, one of our students from 89 painted it, repainted it, whatever. Back in 2013, I told you earlier that we rebuilt the outdoor polar bear, but I decided that we needed an indoor polar bear. So, okay, this polar bear here was purchased by the alumni and friends of Woodward, Carolyn Lake, Yenrick, her committee, and we bought this for a portable polar bear, so when we do parades or activities or functions on location, we could take our polar bear with us. And it's resin, it probably weighs about 80 pounds. But, you know, we're proud of this one too. And right now, in our day, when we were students in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and in 1975, we had carpentry, we had metal shop, we had auto mechanics, we had print shop, and what other skills did we have is technical skills. Some other ones were in there, I think. But in them days, you know, print shop was set and type. Auto mechanics, everybody remembers the Bevan Park Street corner where auto shop was. Then again, we had a machine shop, we had drafting, mechanical drawing, we had, I think we had electronics shop too in them days. So that was in the old 600 East. When the Skill Center opened in 1975, we updated into secretarial classes, business classes, BOE, business office education, IOE, intensive office education. It was a lot geared more and more for the females that were, you know, getting gypped on technical, although they did have home ec and sewing classes in Woodward. But, you know, to update, we had to bring females into being with society. So there were classes in the new Skill Center that were, you know, invigorated to business classes and so on. We had boat shop, we had auto mechanics, we had, can't think of what other skills were in there, chemical lab, I believe. And you know, the Skill Center lasted till, I think they closed it in the mid-90s, maybe around 2000 even. You know, they tore it down and expanded the parking lot. And then when the new school was built, today we have diesel mechanics, we diesel shop, we have graphic arts, and we have supply chain management for technical training. And they're all great classes. Our diesel shop is big. We have semi-tractors in there. In fact, I drove one in a parade the other day out Point Place. So we're very fortunate to have the curriculum that we have today. Back in the day, I told you attendance was over 3,000 students. Today, our attendance is about 650. So our graphic arts or our technical classes are not as many because we just don't have enough students here. Other schools in the Toledo system do offer, you know, body shop for car automotive repair and carpentry and so on. But, you know, Woodward, as I say, we're limited to diesel, graphic arts, and supply chain management. And, you know, our kids get jobs at Jeep. We've got mechanics that are working for Kenworth. And, you know, they got good jobs in the automotive industry because of their training in diesel shop. And we are at a diesel shop now, so diesel shop here at Woodward. It's probably our premier class for technology. We got a lot of stuff in here, semi-tractors, trucks, stuff, you know, everything can be rebuilt here from catalytic converters to brakes, exhaust systems, axles. It's a complete shop. This black semi here was donated to us last year, I think, by some company. And, you know, we use all Snap-on tools. We've got arbor presses. This generator's hooked up. It was donated to us. And at this time, we're looking at some diesel engines that are out of trucks. They don't belong in the trucks that's in here, but I think this is a Cummins diesel engine here. This one might be a Detroit diesel. But anyway, we got several engines here on engine stands. And, you know, the kids work on them throughout the year. They learn how to rebuild diesel engines from scratch, you know, from the top to the turbochargers, anything that's needs to be fixed, you know, they can do it in here, and they learn a lot wrenching throughout the year. So then again, this is probably our premier program for technology, and you know, we're proud to have it here. You can see it's a good sized classroom and all the rigs that fit into it. So then again, Diesel Tech Woodward, it's a great program here. Looks like we're fortunate for this year in Sherry Walker's graphic arts class that we got all new computers for the kids. So they're put on desks here, and as he's panning around, you can see some more new ones back here on a table. And graphic arts, it's a great program here at Woodward. But then again, the room here, you know, they've got laminating, they got you know, different machines to do all this stuff. I think she's got a machine around here someplace to like embroider hats and, you know, logos on shirts and so on. And I think they get some jobs, you know, through this business, small businesses throughout the school year to do design and stuff like that. So, okay, this shirt here, I call it silk screening, but it's this new process. I don't know what they call it, but you can even tell in a photo how different it looks than silk screening. I mean, this can go through the wash 100 times and it ain't gonna come off. It's flush to the fabric, and it's you know, it's just so much better than silk screening. So then again, okay, in honor of our veterans of the military, and it was hung in the new building. Of course, it's painted with clear coat, so it shouldn't tarnish. But we added the Vietnam War, we added the Korean War and other conflicts. Go ahead. Okay, our Woodward High School, our football stadium. We didn't have a stadium for many years. In 1969, they dedicated the old stadium at 600 East. It was along 7th Ave back this way. Where we are now, this would have been the school. The stadium we got in 2010, 2011 when the new school opened. And we were the first school in Toledo in the City League to have AstroTurf. And we never had a press box till 2 years ago. They put lights in. But you know, we're proud of our stadium and our lighting, and you know, we got a nice scoreboard. And you know, when you look to the north here, you see Wilson Park and the swimming pool and everything that's been around as long as Woodward 600 East. And, okay, we're on the corner of Central and Stickney at the main rotunda entrance of Woodward 701 East Central. And then again, this is the beginning of the new school. And you can see on a picture some of the gargoyles on the outside of the building that were from the old school. Earlier we showed you some on the inside, some of the smaller ones, but there's 4 across here if you can see. And then again, our marquee out here is our sign for activities and so on. So anyway, that's a good start on a history of Woodward High School.